everybody, and welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm your host, Charli Matthews, and I am so excited to be here with you. I don't know if you noticed, but I put a little more blonde in my hair. I feel like I have to tell everybody, I change it all the time. But I do want to hear from you. I want to know kind of how did you end 2024? How is 2025 looking so far? I'm really excited about it, and I have some really special guests for you here. I love how industry has brought so many people together. And I just want to thank everybody for making Epic a success as well. So the Empowering Pumps and Industry Conference that we had in Denver, Colorado this year, well, 2024, was amazing. And going on the, mining tour and all of that was just so fabulous. Anytime I can get in a hard hat, I love that. And this year we're going to be back in San Jacinto College in Pasadena, Texas. And so I'm excited to be back there. And just be with our community. So just wanted to throw that out there before we dove into the interview and just tell y'all how grateful and thankful I am to be here. So without further delay, Barb, jump on here and tell everybody just kind of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for inviting me, Charli. So my name is Barb Allen. I have been in the industry for over 30 years. My degree's in construction management, and then I spent the first 20 years in the field and then moved into office positions. And a couple years ago, I went out on my own to start my professional speaking business, and 6 months ago started my subscription box for women in construction. So it's been a really crazy couple busy years since I stopped building buildings.
Yes, well, you're still building something. So, I,
Yes.
as an entrepreneur, know that really well. Tell us why you made the shift. What drove you to being an entrepreneur?
Ultimately, I think for years I've wanted to do something. And originally I was thinking I wanted to do like a doors and hardware company because so I was a union carpenter for the first 10 years out of college. And so I hung a lot of doors and installed a lot of hardware, did a lot of carpenter things, but I really loved that part of it. And so there were many times I thought, man, I need to go out and just start my own, especially as a woman-owned business, right? And I just didn't have the nerve to do it. And then a couple years ago, I was having conversations that were really rooted in unconscious bias. And they were the kind of conversations that I was like, how am I having the same conversations that I had 25 years ago? Like, why is more not changing for women in the industry? Why are we still having these conversations? And it really just sat on me for a while. And finally, I'm like, okay, it is time for me to go out and see if I can make a difference for other women coming into the industry or moving up in the industry. And so ultimately that's how I started my business. And what's so different about it than doors and hardware is I don't have employees this way. Like I think that was what was so scary for me about starting a business years ago was thinking about, oh my gosh, employees are going to rely on me for their livelihood. And that's a lot of pressure that I was not ready for at the time. But being able to go out and start these kind of businesses, I can start as me and grow into that.
Absolutely. And that's how it works. You start out and you're doing all of everything, right? And you learn such an appreciation for all the different parts of the business. I remember, because I was a salesperson before this in the marketing side of things. And I was like, oh, that's why they don't want me to send in a last minute ad because they have it all pretty, ready to go. And it's already scheduled to go out and then I'm throwing something in at the last minute. So, it gave me this appreciation for the art of the entire business for one. And so
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. Of course, I also heard in what you said, the pain to purpose. There is, okay, how are we going to make a difference here? And so tell us a little bit about kind of your business and what is it that you are, kind of going out there and doing for women?
Yeah, so my overall goal is to increase the success of women in construction and really any predominantly male industry. It's about educating and motivating audiences to better understand the gender specific challenges that we face as women in the industry. And I spent most of my career as a job site superintendent. And so there is this part of me that is more comfortable actually communicating with and working through things with men than I am with women, because that is who I've been surrounded by with my entire life. And so going out on this endeavor, I really thought, man, this is an opportunity for me to reach the men in the industry that are thinking, hey, how can I help? Or the men in the industry that don't even realize there is a problem, because there's a lot of those, and there's a lot of guys out there who they they fully believe women are equals. Like they are our biggest support. Like they don't think twice about there being a difference between men and women in the industry. And what I've come to realize is that sometimes that is one of the biggest things that's hurting us, because they don't see things that other people are doing because they don't feel that way, you know? So I spend a lot of my time speaking to predominantly male audiences, but I also get hired a lot for women's groups, right? And internal ERGs, employee resource groups, they have women's groups. They want women to come and speak. So I speak to women as well. And it's when I'm speaking to women, it's more like helping them put a name to the struggles that we actually face so that they can kind of categorize them and knock them out in certain ways. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I've heard the same thing, right? That so have so many supportive men and throughout my career and in the industry, like you said, that when you tell them some of these stories, they're shocked and then they're like, how do I help? How do I fix this? How can I contribute to this? And so I think that it is about that and education of knowing like, hey, we do need each other, like as a whole, when we go into
Yeah.
a work project or definitely on the job site, right? Like, what are things that we can do to make it better for everyone? But yes, women do have a little bit more unique challenges in some places because of just the nature of the differences of a female, right? We love to talk about the proper clothing for women. So PPE, there's so many different brands that have come to create just to put on a different hat, right? Put on like
Yes.
a women's view and walk through that job site. And is it different? Does it look, what do they need that is different? So that's been really rewarding to be a part of that in the fashion show. And I know you do some stuff with NAWIC, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm currently the Midwest region director.
Okay. And so, bringing everyone together, there is a tough part of like bringing everybody and they all kind of have a bunch of challenges and just not sitting in, oh, there's a bunch of challenges here versus, hey, there's some solutions that we know about that we can implement, and kind of shifting that to not kind of complaining, right? Because we want more people in the industry. So how do we say, oh, this is awful? It's not. It's a great career, but there are some things that we need to make sure are in place that we already know about.
Yeah. Well, I think too, there's this element of helping women understand where some of these biases even come from, because I think for men in our industry, sometimes it's got to feel like a really thin line. Like one woman's like you're not doing enough, and one woman's like you stepped in too much, and like sometimes it probably even feels like a tripwire, right? Like you can't win. But I think from a female standpoint, we have to understand that, like for me, as a job site superintendent, I I can't tell you how many times someone new on site I'd walk up to and they'd say, "Oh, are you the safety girl?" And sure, you can get upset about that and be like, "Why would I just be the safety girl? I am the job site superintendent, right?" And I can't deny that I felt that way a few times, right? But there's the reality is most men and women in our industry have never worked for a female superintendent. So it's not the first thing that they're going to think of when a woman walks up to them on a job site is that, oh, this is probably the person that's in charge, right? They're more used to seeing someone in QA/QC or in inspections or in safety or, in other positions. So it's just a unconscious bias that, oh, wait, she's probably the safety girl. And so my response came to be, well, I am the safety girl. I'm also QA/QC, and I'm this and I'm that. And oh, yes, I'm the job site superintendent, because ultimately all of those things were under my purview. So these these keynotes that I give, it's really about helping men and women kind of get to this same foundational level of where does everything come from? What does it look like? How do we recognize it, identify it, and then how do we work together to make it better?
Yeah. And I think that that's the thing. You have to meet people where they're at. And of course, there are parts of, I think, in anything, when I think about the pain and things that make you angry, that kind of light the fire in you. And you're like, this is an injustice and you just want to solve it,
Yes.
that gets us going. But we can't stay there, right? We have to be like, okay, let's get some information, let's get some resources and some tools. And that's where the effective change comes in, that I've seen and experienced myself, right? And so I have been just so happy to have resources like yourself that can um, communicate it in a way, right? Step in there for men and women, because I think it's so important for us to see both sides. And
Yes.
like you said, growing up in a male dominated industry, it's just what we did. Like, it wasn't like I didn't even realize I was a girl in that, right? Like, and then,
Yes.
there's pieces that you lose along the way too. I think women are natural encouragers. And once one woman is in the room with men, it shifted just a little bit, right? But just imagine if there
Yes.
were a lot more encouraging voices in there. Not that men aren't encouraging, but we are naturally lifting up the men in there too. So sometimes they can feel defeated at work as well. And so I feel like it gives this balance to have us in there and using our strengths no matter what they are.
It does. And part of that is that, and this is through studies, women are more relationship driven and men are more task driven. And so that relationship driven part is what is that encourager part. It's the trying to bring more people around the table, is trying to get more voices heard. And where men typically are more like, okay, here's the job, let's go get it done. And it's not good or bad, it's just different. And so bringing both of those perspectives to the table is where this industry is going to truly thrive when we do that.
I love that. Okay, so tell everybody about this box that the subscription. Like, what is this?
Yeah. Okay, so I started a quarterly subscription box for women in construction, and it was my way of how can I actually like help women in a way, make them feel like they belong, make them feel like there's something for them specifically where they're thought of first. And you think about, you were talking about the PPE and earlier, and how much of that is that phrase shrink it and pink it, right? Like here it comes in the man size, now let's shrink it and pink it, and that's fine for women. And so excuse me, so often we are thought of second or third or fourth. Things aren't created for us first, and thank goodness there are some amazing companies like Juno Jones Boots and Dovetail Workwear that are truly out there making things for women first. And I thought, you know what? What if I did a subscription box that women in the industry could receive? And it's quarterly, so it's kind of seasonal, right? But makes them feel like, oh, wait, this is made for me first. It makes them feel like they belong in the industry, like they're not alone. Like the goal is when someone opens one of these boxes to be like, oh my gosh, somebody totally gets me, right? And so, like each box has something construction related in it that we always get in the guy's fit, the guy's size, the guy's style, but it's in our fit, our size, our style. So like when people sign up for the subscription, they have to tell me like what is their shirt size and their glove size and their sock size, and when it comes to shirts, do they want a female fit or a standard fit? Because we don't only as women even want the same female fit or standard fit. And so it's been really fun trying to curate these boxes so that women really feel like they're getting that value of, wow, this is really, somebody really gets me. But what I really love about the PPE part or the construction part that's in it is like the very first box had a pair of safety glasses. And I mean, like I said, I've been in the industry for a long time. When someone first introduced me to this pair of safety glasses and I put them on my face, I was like, oh my gosh, these actually fit my face. And so the goal is that everyone opens that box and gets those and goes back to their company and is like, these are the glasses we need to be ordering for women and smaller faces on the job. And the second box, the box that just shipped out the first week of January, had a pair of dovetail work gloves. And, as a carpenter, work gloves became like required for me, not because of PPE requirements, but just like work is so much easier with the right pair of work gloves. But finding work gloves that actually fit my hands has been hard. And so, like, I was looking around the room because I had this whole box of gloves that I bought. I probably bought 8 different pair of gloves, trying them on to figure out which ones would I really recommend to my subscribers. And it was the dovetail ones. And when I put them on, and then I asked everyone for their sizes, and so they all get that size in their box. But it's like these are finally things that people can say, wow, these are made for us first. That's the whole goal of the box, but it also includes like a growth component. So it's professional or personal growth where there's a book involved and the author of the book does a like a podcast interview like this. So it kind of relates their book to what the women are doing. But there's components in the box that are related to empowerment and femininity because I don't know about you, but I totally lost femininity in this industry for many years. I didn't want to wear anything pink, anything with patterns. Like I did everything I could to fit in. And so it's a reminder that no, it's okay. It's okay to be feminine and in construction. So I feel like I just rambled a lot,
No,
but I'm so excited
I
about the
was listening
box.
because
It's so
I
fun.
love it. I love it, love it, love it, and it's true. It's true for a lot of people. And so, for the men on there, like they don't really understand that because they're not like looking around like I got to fit in. But like you, when you are one of the guys, which is what we just naturally do. I mean, I grew up with brothers, and I'm in the dirt, throwing balls, whatever that they were doing. Um, and I had 2 sons before I had my daughter. It's like you forget, oh, there's this whole other world that is feminine. And whether it is pink or, greenish or whatever your color or sparkle is, like that part doesn't really matter. I want everybody showing up like, if they like gray, great. We'll take that too, right? But there's
Yeah.
for me, it's like, but why am I doing this? Why am I wearing the gray suit while I am presenting? This is so not me, and you
Yes.
realize that when you're, when you really take some self-awareness, it's like, yeah, I lost a little bit of that.
Yes.
Not that it's negative because it also helped us kind of stay focused on the work and, but like you're just losing like a little bit of that when you don't have those women speaking that into you too. It's more fun too, like
Absolutely.
to get everybody together and celebrate. And so I love that about our Empowering Women industry conference because it brings that feeling of relationship and connectedness on the feminine side too. But hey, we have some really amazing allies that love to attend too, and it helps you shift and think about something differently. And I also love that so much. So, Barbara, I could talk to you all day long about this. So, which my viewers know that how passionate I am about empowering women and in the industry. But when our core, right? When I started, it was 80% male audience. Like I love them too. So it's like, how do we continue to affect the industry and impact it for good? Because I'm not going anywhere. I love being here, and so I
Yeah,
want others to have it better than I did. And I'm sure that that's right there behind your mission as well.
absolutely.
Well, good. Well, okay. If anybody wants to reach out to you, how should they get in touch?
Yeah, the easiest way is my website is constructionbarb.com. So I've made it super easy and there's speaking tabs on there. There's the 14 percenters box on there, which is the subscription box. So it's and a contact form. So that's the easiest way.
Awesome. So everybody like, share this episode. I know you know a woman in industry, so go ahead and forward it to her so she knows about it. And if you are thinking about whether or not to come to the conference, it's going to be in Chicago in October. So go ahead and make your plans to be there. It'll be a great event. And until next time, everyone, be empowering.